Today is Sunday, and that means it's Daddy's story. I wonder what story Daddy should do. Well, you may remember that there was an escape pod which was floating through space, and it had been floating there for a few days. And Stormtrooper 135 said, "I'm really hungry." And Stormtrooper 140 said, "I wish you would stop telling me that." And 135 said, "Well, it's true. I'm super hungry. I haven't eaten in 3 days." And 140 said, "Well, I haven't eaten either. And we ate all the rations in here because they've been floating for quite a while." Then all of a sudden, on their onboard computer, one of the Imperial commanders showed up. "Please identify." And T-135 stood up and saluted and said, "T-135, sir." And T-140 stood up and saluted. "T-140, reporting for duty." And the commander said, "Very well. We're rendezvousing to pick you up. Over and out." And 135 said, "Hey, they're probably going to send a shuttle to rescue us." And T-140 said, "Yeah. Hope we can finally get to eat." 135 said, "Now you're talking." Just then, a dark, dark shadow came across their pod. And they looked out one of the windows, and they looked up, and it was a Star Destroyer, a huge triangular pizza-shaped ship that was huge, and it just blocked out the sun, and they couldn't even see where they were going because it was so dark. And the ship's tractor beam locked onto them and started slowly pulling them in to the bay. And then when they got up to the bay doors closed below them, and a huge claw arm moved down and grabbed the pod and set it down. And the door opened, and 135 and 140 came out, and there was a ton of stormtroopers pointing guns at them. "Whoa, whoa," they said. And one of the stormtroopers said, "Hands in the air." And 135 put his hands in the air, and so did 140. And a scanning crew came up quickly and scanned the T-135 and 140 and the pod and said, "Okay, they're clear." And all the stormtroopers put their guns away. And the T-135 and 140 had on their black stormtrooper pilot costumes, so nobody really knew who they were. And there was Darth Vader, who came up to them. He said, "Are you the two pilots that accompanied me at the Death Star?" And T-135 said, "Yes, reporting for duty, Lord Vader." And T-140 said, "Yes, and we are very hungry." And Darth Vader said, "You have 10 minutes to eat, and then you must get ready in your snow gear, because we have found the rebels and we are going to attack." And it had taken the rebels a couple of weeks to rendezvous, and they all got together, and they came to their other secret base, which was on the ice planet Hoth. And so T-135 and T-140 double-timed it down to the kitchen. Hup, 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 hup. And they sat down and quickly ate. No. And T-140 said, "Dude, take your mask off. Take your helmet off. You got food all over your helmet." And T-135 was like, "Oh, that's why I'm not eating." And he took off his helmet, and then he ate. And T-140 was like eating, yum, yum, yum. And then T-135 ate some more, yum, yum, yum. And then, 8 minutes. "We have 2 minutes to get dressed and get down there. Come on, let's go." And they just ran. And they went to some locker rooms, and they went to the snow section, and there was some snow trooper gear. And they put it on really quick. 1 minute. and they kept running. And then they finally made it back to the launch bay just as the time ran out, and there was Lord Vader, and he said, "Very good. I knew I could count on you, T-135 and T-140. Now, you must get on to these snow walkers that are going to be drop shipped down to the ice planet Hoth." And so they got into the snow walkers, and the snow walkers were on huge arms, and there was some ships that carried them, and the ships were going to fly down and drop the snow walkers in the snow. And so they launched. They went all the way down, flying through the atmosphere until they broke through the clouds, and they saw it was kind of a pretty landscape. And the ship landed and let go of the snow walker, and the snow walker went and immediately started walking. And then the commander of the snow walker came back to where all the snowtroopers were and said, "Get ready to dismount. This is a hand-to-hand combat." And all of a sudden they saw all sorts of laser bolts whipping by them. And the whole walker got hit with an ion cannon. And the commander said, "Don't worry, we've got forward shields. There's no way they can get us. Your safest place is in the snow. Let's go." And the bottom of the AT-AT opened up, and then they started rappelling down on ropes. Go, 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 go. Zzz, 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 zzz. And they all went down and landed in the snow. And their training told them to stay in the snow until the snow walker had passed, so they didn't get killed by the legs of the snow walker. So they just hunkered down, and the snow walker took a couple of steps, and then they ran to catch up with the snow walker and run by its side. Whoop, 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 whoop. And they saw the rebel base up ahead. It looked like a bunch of discs that had been sunk into the sand. That was the shield generator that they were going for. And they looked, and all around was a bunch of walkers. And then they heard, and they looked up, and there was snow speeders whipping through the sky. "Open fire," said the commander, and they started firing on the snow speeders. But the snow speeders were too quick, and they would circle around and start shooting. And so the next things out of the walkers were the spy droids. And they look like kind of like these flying octopus things, and they were let loose, and they all went and landed out of the walkers and went after the snow speeders. And then all of a sudden they saw one of the snow speeders was flying around one of the AT-ATs, and they started trying to shoot at it. They wondered, why is he circling around that thing? And then T-135 said, "Look out, it's got a cable on it." And he tried to radio the AT-AT. "AT-AT 42, look out. They've got a cable around your legs. You need to stop walking." But it was too late. The tow cable had tightened around the walker's legs, and the walker fell over, landing on a lot of snowtroopers. And then it blew up as a snow speeder went by and shot it. T-140 said, "They're going to pay for that one." And they kept on running. And they were getting to a trench. There was a trench there with all the rebels embedded in it, plus ion cannons. And T-135 said, "Somebody needs to take out those ion cannons before we can get there." And one of the commanders said, "Leave it to me." And he took his AT-AT and shot the ion cannons. And then the snowtroopers ran towards the bench, or towards the trench, shooting. And they drove the rebels back. And the rebels went inside the base and closed the door. And all the and all the AT-AT stopped and started opening fire on the shield generator. And the commander said, "It's going to take a while for us to break down this shield generator. As soon as we do, the Star Destroyers can take out all the rebel base and all the ships. But until then, we need you snowtroopers to cut through that door and go in and start shooting. And so they said, all right, we'll get right on it. But that is for another story, because this is the end. Stormtrooper Life Part 4.